to you at a very deep level. And sometimes it helps, you know, to look back through your life and look vaguely at that time when you first started to smoke. You may not remember your first cigarette. You may just remember it as a dim, hazy recollection of, well, it was sometime around then. Perhaps when I was an early to what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Gave you a bit of mental torture, maybe your brother perhaps. Gave you that feeling that your mind wasn't your own, perhaps. Gave you that feeling that he was in charge. And you wanted him to be in charge, and yet you didn't want him to be in charge. And how sometimes we find that our relationship to our children is quite different from the way we would expect it to be. And then maybe we see similarities with the past. Maybe we see domineering Kevin or distant mum or non-existent dad. And really, you know, Paul, I've been burbling on for a long while about what I think, or what might have been. And really, you know, what I think doesn't count at all. It's what you think that's important. It's how you feel that's important. So let all these thoughts and feelings swirl around in your mind, build up in your body, in your tummy, or in your throat, or in your lungs, or in your head, in order to cut through the mist of time, the smoky haze, in order to allow your mind to find the natural starting point for today's session. A natural starting point that would allow you to learn something about you. Perhaps looking at those days when you could not understand the world in any way. Perhaps when you were a very, very little Paul, who found he lived in a world of giants. And everything was meaningless and confusing. Because in a moment or two, Paul, I'm going to ask you where you find yourself, or what you're thinking about, or what you're feeling within your body. What thoughts might be trickling through your mind? What maybe captures your attention? And you know, you'll easily be able to speak to me and still remain very relaxed and lost in your own thoughts. Speaking to me, but really speaking just to yourself. So in a second or two, when you feel ready, maybe you could very slowly and gently share some thoughts with yourself. Where do you find yourself? What are you experiencing? What's going on for you? You're just coming home?
Yeah. I'm in the front door.
Uh-huh.
There's a note from my mum saying that she's killed herself.
There's a note from your mum to say she's killed herself?
Mm.
How do you feel about that?
Ran upstairs in her bedroom door.
Yeah? Anyone else in the house? No. And what does it feel like? How old are you? 10. So you're a little Paul of 10.
Take her to hospital. Okay.
Uh-huh. And how are you feeling?
Abandoned.
Uh-huh. Can you feel that feeling of abandonment as strongly as you possibly can? Feel it in every cell of your body. And give it to me. Can you do that? That's it. So every time you breathe out that feeling of abandonment. And every time you breathe in, you amplify that feeling of abandonment. And then you breathe it out and you give it to me. Would that be okay? Yeah, that's okay. You do that. Be that little boy of 10 who reads that note and feels that feeling of abandonment. Total and utter abandonment. That's the idea. Feel it as you've never felt it before. Breathe it in, amplify it, and then breathe it out and give it to me. That's it. And make the feeling grow even more. There we go. That's it. Just keep it going. Okay, let's have lots and lots more of that. Yeah. Saying goodbye to it forever. And remember that you're doing this for little Paul as if he were your own son. Great stuff, keep it going. You're doing wonderfully well. We don't want any more of this feeling of abandonment. And what's more important is that little Paul does not want this feeling of abandonment anymore. That's the idea. Yeah, another 10 lorry loads. Every time you breathe out another 10 lorry loads. Would that be all right?